Lil Kim's reign as a fashion icon in her prime was a defining moment in both hip-hop and fashion history. At a time when mainstream culture had rigid ideas about what women in rap should look like, Lil Kim shattered every mold with fearless self-expression. Her approach to style was not just radical, it was revolutionary. She used fashion as a weapon, as armor, as a canvas, and as a loud declaration that she was here to take up space unapologetically. Her influence wasn't about wearing pretty outfits or following trends. It was about inventing a new aesthetic language rooted in power, ownership, and self-definition. What made her style so iconic wasn't simply that it was provocative or glamorous, but that it was entirely hers. Every look was an act of rebellion against expectations, whether they were placed on her as a woman, a rapper, or a black artist. While most of the women in her industry were still encouraged to dress in ways that softened their presence or blended in with their male peers, she deliberately leaned into everything society told women to tone down. Her fashion choices emphasized sensuality, extravagance, and attitude in ways that were seen as controversial. But that was the point. Her style was a mirror held up to the industry's contradictions and a challenge to its double standards. Lil Kim understood that clothes could communicate dominance, desire, wealth, femininity, creativity, and independence all at once, and she never relied on subtlety. Her fashion was about making a statement, and the statement was always loud, defiant, and dazzling. Whether she was covered in bold patterns, drenched in luxury, or styled in jaw-dropping silhouettes, she wore every look like it was part of her armor. And it worked. Not only did she stand out in any room she entered, she became the room's focus. Her outfits drew headlines, turned heads, and lingered in cultural memory long after the flashbulbs faded. There was a certain genius to the way she styled herself. Even when she wore the most minimal pieces, there was a maximalist intention behind it. She could make something daring feel elegant, make something ostentatious feel intentional, and make something shocking feel like high art. Her use of color, texture, and silhouette was layered with meaning. She often wore hues that radiated confidence: deep reds, electric blues, radiant purples, and candy pinks, not simply for their beauty, but for their symbolism. These colors, often historically linked with royalty, danger, desire, or femininity, reinforced the themes she represented in her music and persona. Lil Kim's style pushed the boundaries of what a woman in hip-hop could look like, and not just from a surface-level fashion perspective. Her looks challenged ideas about ownership of the female body, about class, about what glamour means when it's worn by someone who wasn't born into the elite. She used luxury fashion to subvert elitist gatekeeping. She did not ask for access to fashion's inner circles. She broke down the doors and demanded to be seen as an equal. And she didn't do it by assimilating or toning herself down. She did it by being louder, brighter, and more audacious than anyone else in the room. That in itself was a radical act. Every appearance, every magazine cover, every music video was a curated moment. She treated her image as a living gallery, a visual discography of fashion moments that shaped her legacy. She knew that visuals mattered just as much as lyrics, and long before social media or style blogs existed, she built a reputation off of being fashion's most unpredictable and unforgettable force. You never knew what she was going to wear next, but you knew it would make you stop and pay attention. Her approach to fashion was cinematic. Every outfit told a story, and she never repeated a plot. One day, she might serve power and seduction, the next fantasy and flair, then opulence and chaos. But it always made sense. Even when the look was exaggerated or over the top, it felt authentic because it was grounded in her essence. She never wore anything that didn't reflect her spirit. She didn't wear clothes to impress others. She wore them to express herself. That made her unshakable. That made her unforgettable. Lil Kim was also one of the first figures in hip-hop to fully embrace the transformative power of wigs and beauty aesthetics as a fashion tool rather than just a grooming necessity. Her hair was never just hair. It was a palette. She used it to match, contrast, and amplify her outfits in ways that added a surreal, almost cartoonish boldness to her style. Her hair was as much a part of the fashion moment as her outfit. And just like her clothes, her makeup choices followed no rules. Glittering lids, dark-lined lips, exaggerated lashes, nothing was off limits. This holistic approach to style, where clothing, hair, makeup, and persona were all extensions of the same vision, made her stand apart. She was never just wearing an outfit, she was creating a character, performing an idea, and becoming a mood. And she made sure every look had a lasting impact.
We have stunning wigs. What's the latest one you created?
Well, I'm always thinking of how I can complement clothing. And I don't just want my hair to be regular sometimes. Sometimes I want a distinct signature look.
She's gone from brunette to blonde to green to red to, we've covered the spectrum.
I was born, raised in a ghetto.
The other day I had a photo shoot. So what I had my hairstylist do is make baby blue hair, and I had her put the Chanel side on my hair. So that's going to be kind of one of my new signature looks. You're going to start seeing me with designer hair.
She's not afraid to use her hair color and do different things with it, just to show how she's feeling,
It's also important to understand how her style intersected with identity. Lil Kim was reclaiming the image of a black woman in luxury. She wasn't just borrowing from high fashion, she was embedding herself within it, on her own terms. That was subversive, that was revolutionary. She came from a place and culture that fashion elites often ignored or misrepresented, and she flipped the script by forcing fashion to look in her direction. She didn't wait to be invited into the world of couture. She redefined couture through her own lens. She was a living reminder that style does not come from institutions, but from originality, guts, and vision. In doing so, she exposed a truth that many had overlooked. The best fashion doesn't come from following rules. It comes from breaking them, from reinventing them, from refusing to play the game the way it was built. Lil Kim didn't become iconic because she wanted to be accepted by fashion. She became iconic because she made fashion bend to her will. She didn't walk into a room trying to blend in with other stylish people. She made it impossible for anyone to forget that she had been there. There was also an incredible risk-taking element to her fashion choices. She embraced silhouettes and styles that no one would dare wear at that time. And she did so without hesitation. But that risk-taking didn't come from a place of seeking validation. It came from an unshakable belief in her own vision. She trusted her instincts, and that kind of confidence is rare, especially in an industry that can be as brutal as it is superficial. But Lil Kim didn't just survive the world, she dominated it.
Hi guys! I just want to say thank you, and most importantly, I want to thank God for giving me the creative vision to be able to, put my clothes together the way I do. That's right, I love what I do. I want to thank my whole Queen Bee team. Hillary, I see you, girl. Jennifer, Cassandra, everybody. Kelly, I love you. And London, thank you for having me.
She left an imprint so deep that it changed the fashion landscape forever. Her looks weren't safe, they weren't subtle, but they were deliberate. Every daring cut, every bold accessory, every unconventional styling choice was calculated. Not in the sense of trying to chase headlines, but in the sense of knowing exactly how to create a visual moment that would stand the test of time. She mastered the art of impact, knowing when to shock, when to seduce, and when to stun. And she did all of that without losing her essence or compromising her voice. This unwavering commitment to individuality made her not just a fashion icon, but a symbol of creative freedom. She proved that being true to yourself, no matter how extreme, was the most powerful thing you could wear. Her outfits weren't just costumes. They were reflections of her inner world. Colorful, complex, confident, chaotic, and completely one of a kind. Even the controversies around her style contributed to her legacy. When people didn't understand her looks or labeled them as too much, she wore the criticism like another accessory, gracefully, unbothered, and with her head held high. She didn't explain herself. She didn't apologize. That resilience made her style not just iconic, but deeply meaningful, because it wasn't about being liked. It was about being seen, heard, and remembered. To this day, her era of fashion supremacy stands as one of the most influential in music history, not because she played by the rules, but because she tore them up and created a new blueprint. Her style was larger than life because she was larger than life. Her fashion wasn't about perfection, it was about presence. A presence so bold, so eclectic, so singular, that it altered the DNA of both hip-hop and high fashion permanently. When people look back on the golden era of hip-hop and style, Lil Kim's name will always rise to the top, not just for what she wore, but for how she wore it. She didn't just step on the scene with great outfits. She arrived with a vision that changed everything. A vision that told the world, this is what power looks like when it's wrapped in fur, dipped in rhinestones, and laced in confidence, and walking like it owns every room it enters. That was Lil Kim in her prime. Iconic wasn't just a title, it was the truth.